Do you remember how it feels to be a teenager? And how it feels when you are lying down into a couch, watching TV or any screen, and not being willing to do anything? This is Sloth, and we are going to unpack it. My name is Maxim. I'm a clinical psychologist, and my main interest is to bridge modern psychology with ancient spiritual wisdom. The capital sin of sloth has been discovered in the monastic life. So I invite you to imagine you are a young monk and you decide to leave everything to live amongst other monks in a very harsh and disciplined life. And at the beginning, you are full of zeal and full of holy passion to become a better person, a better Christian. But with the months passing by, you feel more and more that all that is completely pointless. It gets boring to a point that you lose all sorts of interest about the monastic life. And you settle down into what is called sloth. So the word sloth has very little to do with being lazy. It is a tendency and a deep disinterest for anything that you may have felt as valuable before. We are probably the only species on Earth who have been bestowed by the capacity that psychologists call the metacognition, which is an incredible power we have to examine our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and to decide whether we want to pursue in that direction or not. So one of the reasons we have some free will is because we can watch through the metacognition whatever comes to our mind and decide if we want to follow it or not. Thanks to the metacognition, we can identify very toxic attitudes and just decide not to put it in action. Suppose that you are extremely angry at someone and you want to take revenge. From the moment you are aware of that, you may decide, okay, I will wait a little and calm down to take a better decision. So it's a great tool. The problem is that there is some very strange and bizarre joy in the fact of staying away from any mental contents. And so we can go back to the image of the teenager lying down in his sofa. Teenage is a period of life full of passion and full of very intense feeling and desires. So why are they so apathetic? Well, they are apathetic because they are under the control of sloth, which is a passion to get dispassionate about everything. And somehow it feels good to feel dispassionate because it feels that you are more mature. You say, okay, what's the point of doing hobbies? What's the point of going to school? What's the point of anything? It feels that I have control my destiny and I decide that it's not worth trying. But you can imagine that there is all sorts of trouble that comes along with that dispassionate passion of sloth. If you decide to repress your passions and to stay away from it, there is three things you can do. The first of all is to redirect that passion towards another object. You are angry at your boss, well, you may scream at your children. And so you feel somehow better, you have a sense that you have taken revenge. Obviously it's not the right person, but it's one of the things you can do. The second is to stay in a very dark ruminating philosophy about life and thinking hard that nothing has a meaning and the entire world is rubbish. And it is a very efficient way to stay away from your passions, even if it will just cut off all energy. And it is really typical of teenagers when they are in a dispassionate mode. The third thing you can use to get rid of the passion is to turn towards yourself and start to adopt some masochistic approach, which may be in the lightest form having harsh words about yourself, but you may do things like that cause harms in your body. Of course, self-harm, suicide is the most dangerous one, but there is plenty of way you can cause yourself harm or restrict from food or anything. And those are ways to stay away from passions, but it is in itself a passion to stay away from your passion. So sloth is a very vicious passion that would drain all your energy away from the person or the object to whom it should be dealt with. Sloth is somehow very difficult to tackle because whenever your mind is saying what's the point of any type of activity, what can you answer back to your mind? Actually, sloth can be overcome with activity. It doesn't sound like rocket science, but the more you put in action activity, the more you overcome sloth. You should remember that sloth in itself is a passion. It is a passion of feeling superior about not doing things. And the best way to tackle it is to reorient towards your body. Because your body doesn't want sloth. Your body is meant for action, and sometimes, of course, it is tired. You need rest. But resting and even having a nap is not sloth. It's just a body requirement. So the more you connect with your body, the more you discover that your body wants to move, your body wants activity. And this is the way you can slowly overcome the tendency and just going back to the basic enjoyment of action. Because when the mind says, what's the point of this or that, and the body just finds joy in doing things, well, whatever the mind says, the body has the last word. So really to take things in action against sloth. So somehow the remedy for sloth is to listen to the body and to put in action what the body requires, obviously with discernment. Everyone may be from time to time subject to sloth, but if you have a force-raised soul, you are much more likely than others to succumb to sloth, because by nature you will be far more aware of all sorts of passion, and it is all but natural that you will try to deconstruct them and just to get rid of them in terms of feeling inner peace. And obviously that inner peace is baseless because it will drive you to more and more inertia, and at one point it will build up into hyperactivity and being completely under the control of your passions. But the fourth ray has to do with sloth, and that is the main passion to be tackled.